So I asked you guys, the Sheep Esports audience, to power rank the LEC teams after now the LEC offseason is over, to power rank these teams from 10 to 1, from worst to best. And in today's video, we are going to be going over the results. But of course, first, just had to mention real quick that everything we're doing here on Sheep Esports is powered by Holy. So make sure you guys go check out that first link in the description below for some great tasting energy drinks that also just so happen to be healthier than the competition. We also have a couple of discount codes for you guys. SE5 to get €5 off your first purchase, or SE10 to get a 10% discount on your entire basket. Use whatever's going to be the best for you. With that being said, let's get right into this today. At number 10, you guys have Team Heretics, and the more I look at this Team Heretics roster, the more that I tend to agree they are probably, at least on paper, the worst team in the LEC coming into the year. You guys had them pretty significantly last. 7, 8, 9 were all pretty far above Heretics, so it seems like you guys are pretty much in consensus that this is the worst team. I think this team does have some exciting things going for them at least, and I do think they definitely have some possibilities for breaking out of this last place hole. Yeah, I don't know. If they finished anywhere between 7th and 10th, I wouldn't be shocked, but it's obviously going to take some things going right. I think Shio is a really, really fun piece of this team, and I think Kamilu has a chance to be an absolute monster. Now, it might take a couple splits. It might take a couple years for him to develop into that. I don't know. So, yeah, for 2025, I necessarily wouldn't bet, that Kamilu is just going to burst onto the scene and be a monster right away, but I do think that mid-jung duo is at least a really, really nice core for the future of Team Heretics. But yeah, Carlson, Flockhead, Sten, do they really move the needle a ton for me? Am I super hyped up or excited about them? No, not necessarily. But I love that at least even the what we have as the worst ranked team in the LEC still has some cool, fun pieces and maybe a way for their future to improve. So I think that's cool for Team Heretics. At number 9, we have SK Gaming. Now, I do think they got significantly worse in this past offseason. I know there's been some people maybe defending them a little bit and saying SK might surprise. And again, SK is another team that if they finish anywhere between 7th and 10th, I wouldn't necessarily be shocked, but going from Irrelevant to Gen X and from Niski to Reeker, I think are pretty big step downs, but Gen X and Reeker aren't bad players. They have a chance to do some things. I just think they're not necessarily going to be all that great, and it's going to be hard, like I said, at least on paper. We'll see once this thing all plays out, for me to put this SK team too high above many other people. Now, I do think Loopy is a pretty underrated pickup for SK, and he has a chance to be pretty good, and that bot lane could be pretty solid, but I think the top side of SK is definitely going to have some struggles and some inconsistency issues, and it's going to be a little bit rough. So SK, like I said, I think number 9 is totally fine for them. Yeah, you guys did have them significantly above Heretics and pretty close to the 8th and 7th teams, but this is what you guys have. Now, at number 8, this is the interesting one. You guys have Rogue. Now, the 7th and 8th place team were very, 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 very close. Just a couple of votes apart, so this really could have gone either way. But you guys have Rogue, Adam, Malrong, Larson, Patrick, and Execute. These are just a ton of LEC veterans, a ton of names that we've seen time and time again, and people that, don't typically finish 8th place in the LEC. Now, you could argue a lot of these guys are past their primes. A lot of these guys are washed. Adam's going to bring in, drama and controversy and shake some things up with this team, whatever. But I still think 8th is a little bit too low for Rogue. This is a team where, those other teams like SK and Heretics, I can't really see them finishing higher than 7th. Rogue is a team who I wouldn't be surprised if this lineup finishes 5th or 6th or something like that. I don't really think they could finish higher than 5th, but I think 8th is a little bit too low for this team, especially when you guys have Vitality at 7. Now, I would not put Vitality ahead of Rogue. I do not think this team is better, and I was actually pretty shocked to see this team at 7th because I have them closer to like a 9th than I do to above Rogue and in 7th place. But yeah, Vitality, another team that I think they could finish 7th. I think it's possible. 7 through 10 seems like a reasonable category for them, for me. Now, obviously, they have Karzi and Hillsang. That's a very, very solid bot lane to be building around. That's a bot lane that's going to win you plenty of games. But the rest of their team, I definitely have question marks about. Their whole top side. We'll have to see. I don't know. I think it's too early to tell on paper. They could be okay. They could be not very good. I think they're going to have some struggles. I'm not really betting for them. But, hey, the Sheep Esports audience, they're excited. They have Vitality all the way up at 7. I think that's cool. We'll see how that plays out. We'll see how right and wrong you guys were about some of these teams. Yeah, I think Vitality at 7 and above Rogue is one that not a lot of people are necessarily going to have. But I think it's cool that as a community we came up together for something like that. That's a little bit different. At number 6, we have Giant X. Now, Giant X is an interesting team for me because there's a lot going on here. They have Noah and June coming in, who are one of the best bot lanes in the LEC in 2024, so that's great. They're going to have probably one of the best bot lanes. Once again, Jackie's is a very, very fun, exciting, and great player, but the other two players, Closer, I know people definitely have question marks about him. Is he washed? Is he past his prime? Is he going to be able to be, competitive at the LEC level still? And a lot of people are upset that, hey, we didn't get Yike, or we didn't get Speaker, or we didn't get whoever, and then Lot in the top lane. Yeah, he's an exciting talent, but how good will he be, especially right off the bat? I don't know. So I think there's some good and there's some questionable for this Giant X team. And overall, yeah, I think that comes out to, a 5th, 6th place finish. I think this is a fine ranking for you guys. You guys are spot on once again. But I think this team will be fun to watch. I hope Jackie's, continues to develop and continues to be very, very strong. And we kind of know what already to expect for Noah in June. It'll be interesting to see how many games are able to carry and win for this team in 2025. At 5, we have BDS. Now, I think this might be a little bit too low. BDS looks like a pretty good team to me on paper. Irrelevant, 113, Nuke, Ice, and Peruse. And I know I say this every time, but Irrelevant, one of the biggest pickups in the offseason, a guy that a ton of teams wanted. 113, definitely the question mark on this team. I think there was plenty of other options they could have gone for at jungle, but obviously they believe in him for some reason. And he has a chance to prove some people wrong and have a nice year. But Irrelevant, Nuke, Ice, Peruse, all 4 very, very, very strong players. Again, Peruse is who G2 wanted as their number 1 option for support. Ice is a beast, maybe the most underrated player in the entire LEC. Nuke has been developing very, very well into a strong, consistent, reliable mid laner. Irrelevant, one of the better top laners in the entire league. This team has very, very strong players all across the board. 5 might be too low. I could really see this team finishing as high as 3rd in the LEC, but I would probably have them somewhere in that 3 to 4 range. I think 5 might be a little bit too low, but at number 4, you guys have K-Corp. And again, I think it's fine. K-Corp's also a very, very strong roster. I think the LEC has a ton of good teams this year, and it's hard to place everyone exactly where they're going to be. You got to put teams somewhere. And at number 4, K-Corp, Kana, Yike, Vladdy, Kalista, and Targamas. One of the biggest pickups of the entire offseason with Yike coming in. And, some people are saying, hey, he's going to be the best jungler in the league, even without G2. He doesn't need them. He's a great player in his own right. And Kalista, one of the most hyped up prospects we've seen in the past couple of years in the LEC. Now, obviously, the big question mark for this team, one of them is Vladdy. How strong will he continue to be, and how well will he continue to develop? But obviously Targamas as well. There's some people who think this guy is not even an LEC level support at this point, and the fact that he's not just in the LEC but on a top 3, 4, 5 team in the LEC and a team that's competing for Worlds, that could be something that maybe ultimately holds K-Corp back, or maybe Targamas is going to prove everyone wrong. I know people have said, hey, Kalista wanted to play with Targamas, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's the right move or the right decision. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But I'm super excited to watch this team play. I can't wait to see how Yike is on K-Corp, and I can't wait to see how good Kalista is. I hope he turns into a beast. I hope Kalista is, the caps of the bot lane. I hope Kalista is better than Faker, all that stuff, whatever memes you want to say. Yeah, K-Corp at number 4 is what you guys have. At number 3, we have Movistar Koi. Now, this team is so interesting to me because, again, Mad Lions Koi last year, they went to Worlds. They were very strong at the beginning of the season. But in the middle, they kind of fell off. They fell off a cliff. A lot of things went wrong. A lot of things went bad. But on paper, this team is very talented. Supa is an amazing player. El Yoya is an MVP level talent. Jojo Pune at his best is an MVP level talent. Some people have questions about Merwin. Some people have questions about Alvaro. But overall, they seem like solid pieces, solid players who can play around the 3 kind of massive carries and 3 really potential superstars that Movistar Koi has. But again, 4 out of these 5 players were part of the huge collapse that Mad Lions Koi had down the stretch last season. Was it all Frescowi's fault? Is everything fixed now that Jojo Pune is in and Frescowi is out? I don't know. This team is so hard for me to rank because I love a lot of these players on paper. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, hey, this team didn't change very much from the team that it's had the total collapse and fall off last year. So Movistar Koi, if things go right and things go their best, this is a team that could compete for some titles. But if things go wrong, once again, this is a team that could finish 5th or 6th in the LEC and not even be going to Worlds. I don't know. This team is so interesting to me. But you guys have Movistar Koi at number 3. At number 2, we have Fnatic. I want to look at the rankings real quick. So yeah, you guys had Koi, K-Corp, and BDS all pretty close. You have Fnatic significantly above Koi in this 2nd place. Now, I do think this is interesting, and honestly, the more I look at the LEC and the more I look at this Fnatic lineup and the more that I think about things and the more I even look at G2, I want to put Fnatic at number 1. I want to move them up. I at least want to put like a 1A and 1B, and I even tweeted out the other day that I do think Fnatic will win an LEC title in 2025. I feel pretty strongly about that, actually, because Fnatic has a very nice team. Now, Oscar's a guy who I still have some question marks about personally, but they have Oscar in the top lane, Razor, Humanoid, Upset, and Mickey, and that's a very star-studded lineup. That is a very nice lineup. They have a great team. They have potentially the best player in the LEC at a couple different positions, and that is a recipe for success generally. But yeah, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Obviously, I think this Fnatic team will, at the very least, be making some finals. I think they'll be going to Worlds. They'll have plenty of chances to prove themselves over the course of this year, but it should be fun. It's going to be interesting to see how Fnatic does going from Noah and June to upsetting Mickey. There's some chances it could be a little bit better, a little bit worse, about the same. Obviously, we now have a new kind of director of team operations or whatever coming in with Dardo coming out, how they're going to operate things. We'll have to wait and see. I think this 2025 season's looking pretty good for Fnatic, though. And yeah, you guys have my number 2. It's not bad, but I'm just saying I don't know. I have question marks about G2, who you guys have at number 1. Broken Blade, Skewmon, Caps, Hansama, and Lebrov. And again, Yike and Mickey are great players. They're amazing players. Replacing them is going to be difficult. Not only is G2 replacing them, but they also now have Yike and Mickey out in other teams on the LEC. K-Corp got better bringing in Yike. Fnatic got better bringing in Mickey. So we'll have to wait and see. I don't know. Skewmon and Lebrov, they seem like great players. They have a great opportunity to do a lot of amazing things here at G2. And obviously, I'm not one to bet against Caps ever. You got Broken Blade, you got Hansama. This team is loaded. This team is amazing. But with 2 very, very important pieces coming into the jungle and support, 2 very important positions, I don't think G2, we're accustomed to G2, just everything always working out and them always figuring it out and them always getting the job done. But you got to remember, over the course of the year, G2 hasn't won every single title. G2 hasn't been as amazing every single year. Yeah, they're consistently great, and they usually figure it out, but that doesn't mean that everything they're going to do is always going to work. We'll have to see if Skewmon and Lebrov work out this year. I don't know. There's definitely some question marks to be had. I hope G2's great. I hope they're amazing. I hope they compete for international titles. I love that when the West has an internationally relevant team, but we'll have to wait and see how it all plays out. But you guys do have them at number 1, obviously, in these power rankings. But that's pretty much it for this video today, guys. Hopefully I catch you the next one. Until then, peace.